Generation 1. The generation that started it all, with some of the most iconic Pokemon within the entire series and arguably the most loved from kids of the 90s. So let's point out some flaws of Generation 1, shall we? Hello everyone, I'm Bisharp Kamen, and welcome to another Top 5 video, and we're doing a negative list. But before I do, I need to put this in big, bold letters. I do not hate Generation 1. As someone who played the games when they first came out and recently played them again, I am here to point out some criticisms. If you cannot take criticisms of some games from years ago, well, how is that my fault? Now a little backstory. With the news of Pokemon Sun and Moon being able to get Pokemon from the digital games or the original games, I decided to play Pokemon Yellow and Blue again so I could transfer whatever Gen 1 Pokemon I could get in them to the Pokebank when it actually updates this January. So I spent the last week or two playing the games, and I was reminded of the flaws and decided to make a video because they made me so mad! This list will consist of glitches, intentional game designs, and other things that just made me mad. However, just because there are flaws, that doesn't mean the games aren't fun or aren't as good as usual. Heck, I do have a special place within my heart, but I am not blind to their flaws. But if you guys want to point out something to me, let me know in the comments below. Now, let's begin! Wrap, Fire Spin, and Clamp suck! While this is more common with Wrap and Fire Spin, Clamp is still a move that you can encounter in the games and does the same thing. Sure, only 2 Pokemon could learn that move in the original games, but it's still the same effect. If you got hit by any of these attacks, you couldn't do anything for 2 to 5 turns. Yes, it was fun to use these moves on real-life players you knew in Link battles, but because of how little damage they cause, they would make the battles last forever. And you would probably get a black eye too if you tried that on your friends. Thankfully, these moves were balanced out in Generation 2 and then on, so you could actually attack when the moves were used. Thank you, Game Freak! The Sprites. If you see my bigger channel, Manga Kamen, I once did a video on Verlisify, talking about flaws, glitches, and other things that Generation 1 had. Well, he called them all glitches. They weren't. Link in the corner. One of the things I talked about was the sprites and how it was an aesthetic choice if you like them or not. That being said, red and blue sprites suck. Seriously, the sprite artists at the time made a lot of Pokemon in the original duo bad. 2 that came to mind are Coughing and Cloyster. Coughing's skull and crossbones were above its face for some reason, even though in the original Japanese games the sprite was done right. And Cloyster? A lot of these were fixed in yellow, but we still have the same back sprites. What the heck is going on with Charmeleon? I want to have an awesome fire lizard, but it looks like I have a horned orange version of Barney fighting in front of me. Hey! Hyperbeam! Seriously, Hyperbeam was so broken in the games. While it does have a recharge, there were a lot of ways around that in the original games. If the attack misses, if it breaks a substitute, defeats the target, that is the target of partial trapping moves like Wrap, like I mentioned earlier, it flinches or is put to sleep, the recharge will not happen, meaning you could easily be spammed with Hyper Beams whenever you faced against Lance. And if you're not at a huge level, you will be cursing his name. Damn you, Lance! The psychic typing was broken! Thanks to a glitch in the programming, psychic Pokemon only had one weakness back in the original games: bugs. The other weakness that they had was Ghost, but that was glitched so Ghost attacks would have no effect on psychic types. The only thing you could do was have a psychic type that had high attack and charge against the other psychics. Either that or have a Mon that was fast and a physical attacker that wasn't weak against psychic types. But number 1? Ooh! The special stat. This was so broken. Remember how I talked about the psychic type? Well, this is part of the problem. Back in Generation 1, there was no special attack or special defense split. So basically, any Mon with a high special stat, it had both the same special defense and attack. This was so annoying. It made special attackers so overpowered, and since the elemental attacks back then, like fire, water, and grass, were all considered special attacks, that means you'd have to rely on other physical moves, such as fighting, normal, and other things just getting past these high attackers. And that's my list. Like I said, I don't hate the Gen 1 games, they'll always have a special place in my heart, But every game has its flaws. Whether it be glitches, bad game designs, or something that's completely broken, it's in every game. I'm Bisharp Kamen, and remember to examine your fandom. Oh, and the PC box not changing when it got full and keeping track of how many mods you had in it was completely BS!